challenging combat.
Combat. Faster combat.
Combat.
Awesome combat.
Coming up with better reasons to fight monsters.
Really into the role-playing games.
Hey, there's a lot of ways to improve combat. I'm not going to talk about homebrews in this video. Instead, I'm going to talk about the ways that I've learned to prep and DM combat better. These aren't easy to do every single time or all at once, but I find practicing as many of these as possible every single time there's a combat, I find my players more stimulated and more interested in the entire combat, even when it's not their turn. Number 1, fantastical locations. Sly Flourish talks about this all the time. Make sure you're not just in the woods or just at a river. Add something to it. Ruins of an ancient society, mines of a lost mining company that ran away from a dragon that's hidden nearby. Basically, every single location should have some type of fantastical element to it. Number 2, fantastical terrain. Not just grass and rock. Try desert, try Arctic, try acidic swamp, try volcanic. At sea, under the sea. This can come in the form of dungeon tiles, scattered terrain, or battle maps that you printed off Reddit. Just make the battlefield interesting and fun to look at for the entire combat. Number 3, battlefield-wide effects. Fighting in the graveyard, half healing. Forest, difficult terrain. At sea, fog fills the ship, can't see beyond 25 feet. Fighting in the elemental planes, maybe resistances to those damages are knocked down to normal and immunities are knocked down to resistance. Build off your fantastical location and terrain. Think of a single interesting effect that the terrain can provide the gameplay and make combat feel more like a puzzle without being unplayable. Hey, if you're enjoying this so far, consider subscribing. More importantly, hit the notification bell for all videos so that way you don't miss a single video. Number 4, terrain-inspired zone hazards. Bit of a mouthful, hear me out. Mushrooms in the corner of the map. They poop poisonous gas if people get too close. A crevasse cuts through the battle map and thin little bridges that players have to cross just to get to the objective. Scattered frozen ice across the battlefield. Maybe it's right on we're fighting on the edge of a lake. Well, when you cross that, you have to roll dexterity saving throws or else you might slip and fall. Put quicksand in the corner. These are micro versions of the battlefield-wide effect. And because they're smaller and isolated, they can be slightly deadlier or more challenging to overcome. All these effects should affect monsters just as well as players. 5, traps. Bombs, pits, lassos, mimic doors, mimic toilets, hidden arrows like Indiana Jones. These are man-made or handmade traps placed on the battlefield, either made by the monsters the players are currently fighting, maybe made by the players themselves, or they're made by the people who made the location in the first place. Number 6, tactical monsters. Rather than fighting a single monster or a group of the same monster, mix it up. Mix different types of monsters together. Great example, put a tank, an archer, and a skirmisher all in, and they have different types of attacks that transform what was going to be a simple hack and slash combat into who do we attack first? I need to cover this person to get that person. Ooh, the tank's right there protecting the archer. How do we get to the archer? The skirmisher is just running around the battlefield and just slicing us up. But the bonus is, when your players are waiting for their turn, they're going to be less distracted and more focused on how can they tactically move forward in this combat. Plus, this advice actually pairs really well with the next 2 tips. 7, tactical advantages. If you're going to tactically attack the players, you need the players to have a tactical advantage, or at least be able to earn tactical advantages against these tactical thinking monsters. What does that mean? They need to earn the ability to roll at advantage. That way they feel like they're succeeding at being tactical. Great example, cover. Your skirmishers, your rogues, they're gonna love this. Flanking, your tanks will love it if you give them the opportunity to flank. A new favorite of mine that I've learned about, the high ground, where casters and archers alike, ranged attackers, can find high points to get tactical advantage against creatures down below. So if I'm an archer, I get advantage on my shot. If I'm a spellcaster, I get advantage on spell attack. Or if I'm casting spells that require saving throws, like Fireball, the targets roll at disadvantage. When your players learn what they're rewarded for doing, such as tactical maneuvers, they will start looking for those on the battlefield. Number 8, which also pairs really well with tactical monsters, goals. Stop the summoning. Save the children. Escape alive. Survive long enough for backup to show up. Steal the lamp without touching any other treasure. The basic idea is, what if killing the monster wasn't the way to end the encounter?
We're focusing on killing monsters as the only objective because the game provides no other objective in combat. Designing encounters so we're fighting for some other reason. Why are we fighting?
What are some goals? Destroy powerful monuments, recover a prisoner, kill the boss, but don't worry about her minions. Close the gateway and prevent the big bad's escape.
What else do you have to do? Video games and superhero movies do this all the time. And I think this gives players who are waiting for their turn to really think about what else do they need to do to help their teammates. This is a great tool for Dungeons and Dragons and tabletop games. You have to suffer through the encounter to get to the objective and get something done. Getting that done weakens the big boss or weakens the shield, makes the saving throws easier. And then if you really want to, have like 1 to 2, tops 3 rounds of final combat with the big boss once you flip all those switches. Which, perfect segue into my next one, number 9, keep it short or keep it fresh. In the DMG, it recommends aiming for around 3 rounds of combat. I didn't know this when I started marathon combat, meaning the entire 3 to 5 hour game session is a single combat, often against a single monster the whole time. Depending on the story, depending on the time and place, it's not a bad thing. But if it's the only thing, it's not going to be interesting, especially if you have players with ADHD, or by the simple fact at round 3 or 4, your players have used up all their cool abilities, and now it's just hack and slash slogging time to get to the end. Big thing about goals, it reduces that feeling of slogging and turning a marathon game into something spectacular. This part, though, is a constant reminder that if you keep it tight, your players will be more interested. Or, as I said, keep it fresh. Around the 3rd or worst case 4th round of combat, change things up. Maybe after killing all the baby dragons or kobolds, Big Mama Dragon shows up. And now it's 2 to 3 rounds of combat with a big dragon. And because everyone's resources are now low because they spent it all on the little guys, this might turn into a chase scene. Or more interesting ideas might start popping up, just like editing a movie, a show, a video, or editing a book. You're trying to condense it. You're trying to keep it down, and that way you can keep things tighter and fresher for your players. Number 10, the final one, always have an exit for your players. I always have a way for my players to escape the combat, escape the dungeon. Even if it doesn't appear like there's an exit, I make sure there is one. It could be a magical item, it could be a secret door with a secret tunnel, or it could be simply just run. My thinking is, if you don't have a way to exit the dungeon or exit combat on the player's terms, you've removed the agency. We have to fight because DM says roll initiative, and there's nothing we can do about it. Yeah, we signed up to play Dungeons and Dragons. Yeah, we signed up to fight monsters. I have to now metagame and limit my thinking because roll initiative. Allowing players to agree that it's time to run away, allowing players to roll investigations or perceptions on low DC hidden doors and tunnels. This gives them the sense of agency. It doesn't make them feel railroaded at a very important moment in the adventure. That's my 10 tips on DMing better combat and preparing for it. I've learned these from a lot of smart people who've played this game a lot longer than I've been alive. I hope this helps you. Enjoy. I'll see you next time.